The Origin of Life. Siafang. August 16, 2005. Translated by Transin. 1. Definition of life. Before we can discuss the origin of life, we must understand first what it is, or we will not be able to explore its origin. Today, although the scientists who are discussing life may not be as plentiful as the hairs on an ox, at least their number is very large. When we enter words such as life, life study, origin of life, and life exploration into any search engine, we will find a wide field of life exploration articles from which we can gain an idea of the various research theories and achievements discussed by life scientists. Unfortunately, all life scientists just make fusses over their interpretations of it because none of them understand its real essence. Only Christopher Langton, an artificial life theorist at the United States Los Alamos National Laboratory, in his publication, Artificial Life, initiated some introductory wisdom about the life exploration area. Some of his opinions broke through the limitations of traditional thinking patterns and took a small step toward understanding the cognition of life. For example, the essence of life lies not in its substance but in its form. Then what on earth is life? 2. Life is a non-material structure with spirituality. All substances are not life, but they can be carriers of life. As with a person's watch, car, house, and clothes, none of these are part of the person, but appendages and adornments of their life, and we cannot learn about them by simply relying on their appendages and adornments, nor can we know them by their age, appearance, height, weight, or other characteristics, because all of these just show the material structure of their life carrier. It is very hard to understand non-material structures because they depend on our spiritual perceptions completely. They require extraordinarily sensitive spiritual perception to be seen. If one's spiritual perception is dull, it would be imperceptible in any way, but this does not mean that there is no way to understand it. I will give an example and hope it will inspire you to draw an analogy. As I send a fax from Harare, Zimbabwe, to my friend in Washington, D.C., his fax machine receives it almost immediately. The contents that he receives are nearly identical to what I had sent. My handwriting, the shape of the characters and the line spacing are unaltered by his fax machine, however the original copy is still with me and I can toss it into a waste paper basket as rubbish because it has accomplished its mission and has conveyed its message, soul, to my friend in America. Let us analyze what has happened. The origin copy never left my room, but my friend received the fax instantly, and only the paper and ink, the carrier of the information, has changed. How do you explain this? The fax machine used the photoelectric principle to transfer the information into audio signals and sent them through an electric cable to a communications central office, which transmitted them to a satellite uplink transmitter. A satellite received and retransmitted them. Then the information was received by a satellite downlink receiver, sent to another central office, and finally sent it through another electric cable to my friend's fax machine, which restored the information from audio signals into words and images. In this way, the soul of my original copy was sent to my friend. Here, we mainly focused on the audio signals, which are a kind of materials rather than non-material. However, they have their own characteristic structures which differ from other audio signals, such as their frequency, wavelength. If the structure has consciousness, then it will be a non-material one. When microscopic particle tends to be infinitesimal, it will not exist or move in the form of particles, and it will become a string, or even a superstring. Superstring is a non-material structure. In this sense, the essence of life lies in non-material structures, rather than the carriers of life material. The essence of life is formless. Who can tell the form, color, or weight of life? When referring to humans, dogs, vegetation, insects, and bacteria as life, we are literally talking about the expressions of their life forms rather than their essences of life. The forms of life are exceedingly strange and various, but the essence of life is unitary. Life has spirituality. Life cannot exist without it. Living people can walk, talk, breathe, eat, drink, and blink their eyes, but only until they die and their bodies lose their spirituality. Can we call a cadaver with no spirituality a human? Of course not. Thus, flesh is life when it has spirituality, but it is just a cadaver after it loses it. A stone can be called a life when it has spirituality, but it is only an aggregate of material elements after it loses it. A tree can be called a life when it has spirituality, but it is only a piece of wood after it loses it. A car can be called a life when it has spirituality, but it is only a heap of waste iron after it loses it. A statue can be called a life when it has spirituality, but it is only a heap of dried mud, plaster, or metal after it loses it.